Hello and welcome to another episode of Buying a Narrowboat and further updates. On this episode we're going to be looking at a couple of things. A few extra panels that I've added for solar energy, a little bit of a ventilation improvement, but most importantly where I had a bit of a leak and how I've overcome that leak by replacing the water tank. Just some of the perils of buying a 30-year-old boat, but all as part of the improvements of my further journeys into buying a narrowboat. Hello and welcome to another Buying a Narrowboat update and improvements to good old Destiny. A few things to tell you about on this particular episode. First starting with obviously some additions to the solar panels. Got a couple of extra ones there, and I've also got some new ventilation mushrooms I've just added, and I'm just doing a bit of a paint job. Beautiful day, coming towards the end of June, and yeah, let's see what else has been going on. Well, a couple of things to tell you about down here, as well as the mushrooms. I have a new blue water tank. That's a new addition. The other one I'll tell you about shortly. The other good news to tell you, well, from my point of view, is I have installed a washing machine. So nothing dramatic, but it is going to go here because it's the nearest place I have to probably my water system and some electricity. So just a little slimline 7 kilo washing machine, which just saves me having to go to the laundrette, or as I have been, going to my father's. And only slightly one problem. What I found down there, you see where the towel is? Yes, I've got a leak. I wonder where the water was coming from. It's even worse. You might be able to see it down there, you may not. I may have to edit it out. But yes, the water has slowly been dripping, mostly under pressure, but yes. So where once I had a hot water tank, I have a hole. Just removed the hot water tank because unfortunately had a bit of a leak, and it's obviously been slowly seeping, which means I've not been able to leave my water pump on because that was filling out. I'm pleased to say that that has now stopped filling up the water, so the boat isn't leaking from outside. But now's my, as the light adjusts, my new tank is here. All I've got to do is plumb it in. Simples. So just for those people that are interested in the mechanics, this is the hot and cold water feed. So basically I have the cold feed coming in from the front of the boat, which is pumped, and I've run an additional unit off here which goes to my washing machine. So that's the most recent bit of plumbing that I've done. The hot return is this one, and that sort of comes from here, from the top of the old tank. And then the part of the ring main that was fitted by the previous owners, which gives me my 240 volts, which obviously either runs from the generator or it can hopefully run from the inverter once that's full up and running. And then the immersion heater, which I have currently unwired, that's the current system. And then the way that the water has been heated, it comes from my my Aldi heater that heats the water and obviously gives me central heating as well, and those go into the coil. There was at one time feeds coming from the engine, from the hot water from the engine, and I was thinking of getting a twin coil system, but I've decided not to at this stage. Might look for an alternative, heating from my solar panels, but that's the current situation, and the new boiler, the new water tank will go in shortly. So here's the tank that I removed. Immersion heater obviously, hot water outlet was coming from there, and these were the old inlets that I mentioned to you before, that came from as a twin coil system. They would have come from the original engine, the hot water system. Hello mate.
Hello, mate.
How you doing? And I guess there at one point you would have had the immersion heating switch, and then these were the original feeds in that come from the hot water system. But underneath, below here somewhere, the leak was, so because it's a copper tank, and it's a copper tank that probably didn't like the pressure from the system, so I've now changed it for a steel tank, which hopefully will last a little bit longer. But there you go, that's the old tank to be replaced by the new tank. So here we are, not a huge amount to see, but suffice to tell you that in there, in the dusk of night, there is a new blue tank where I think you knew that there was a tank before, and it took a little bit of engineering, but the end result is that we are now back in position of having a full water tank, and yeah, the stern of the boat is pretty much more watertight than it was. So we've got a beautiful day here down at Harlow Mill. Sun is shining. Hey, I've done some washing. Decided to buy a couple more solar panels. They're coming this week off of eBay because pretty much I think 4 solar panels, which will give me up to 24 potential amps, is pretty much what I'm going to need for some of the things that I bought for the boat, which includes as well as my MPPT controller. I've just added another wire going down to a power inverter. So I didn't have one of these, so most of my 240 volt power was coming from a generator, but obviously you can't run the generator of an evening. So now I have the luxury of up to 2000 watts of power, which hopefully would enable me to run some of my other 240 volt elements. So that's just another addition. Bit of an untidy mess, but at some point or other this will all get jigged around and tidied up, but it sits quite nicely. Also want to thank my dear friend Rob. He just bought me a little steering pin, little frog one there. That was the one on the right was mine, and I just managed to put those up there. So just a couple of small additions to Destiny. So here we are, as mentioned earlier, one of the new panels, one of 2 new 100 watt solar panels that I got, and one of my new lovely chrome vents that I've replaced my mushroom vents, and there are the other 2, and I finally done the last one right at the front of the boat. But I just thought I'd let you see what the end of June is. A lot of the growth, the greenery growth has come around Harlow Mill, but it's a beautiful setting. And this was late June, just before I went away on my holiday, and the sun was slowly setting. I had a beer in hand, and yeah, well, joined by a lovely fella in the boat over there who brought his motorcycle down with him on a number of occasions. But here's a river stort. Get obviously a lot of gongoozlers and walkers go by, and that is Harlow Mill Lock with my good friend Marco's Smooth boat there, and this is the area that I get to look at on a daily basis, where I am moored up at Harlow Mill, and a beautiful place it is indeed as well. So pretty much the boat's coming on nicely. There aren't too many other jobs to do now. I think one of the jobs I need to crack on with at some point is to get the painting done. The storage for the solar panel boxes are great, but obviously just getting on and off the boat does make it fairly tricky. But this is my view, and we're going to have a little bit of a montage of other events. But what's to come? Well, painting the boat, I would like to get some stuff done. Oh, yes! I did go out with my cousin, as I mentioned, and I bought myself one of those selfie sticks. Unfortunately, the microphone, as I'm trying to tell you now, was dreadful. So I've decided to overdub this, and principally, this is just us. We're taking a little journey, and there you can see the other mushroom vent that I did finish at the front of the boat. But my cousin David was steering the back of the boat, and we were heading towards Ware. But I thought I'd take advantage of my selfie stick. And here's a little bit of the Essex countryside going round. So thank you so much for watching. We'll be back with another episode soon. Here's just the Harlow Mill lock being filled up. And look forward to your comments, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.